The Quiet Grandmother's Empire. My name is Mama Adana Okonkwo, and I am 70 years old. To most people in Lagos, I am simply the old woman who sells fresh bread and chin-chin at the small bakery on Adeola Street 3 days a week. I wear simple Ankara wrappers, faded from many washings, and I live in an old 2-story house in Surulere that everyone says is too big for a widow like me. My late husband, Chike, died 15 years ago, and since then I have lived quietly, knitting sweaters for neighbors' babies and attending church every Sunday. That is the story the world knows, but the world does not know the rest. 2 years ago, my only granddaughter, Chioma, brought home a young man named Tunde Adebayo. He was tall, handsome, and spoke with the polished accent of someone who had studied abroad. His family owned a small chain of boutiques, and they carried themselves with the confidence of people who believed money and appearance were the measure of a person. From the very first visit, I saw the way Tunde's mother, Mrs. Fumi Adebayo, looked around my house, her eyes lingering on the high ceilings, the large compound, the mango trees that shaded the veranda. "Mama Adana," she said with a tight smile, "this house is so spacious. Don't you get lonely rattling around in such a big place?" I smiled back and offered her more puff-puff, but I noticed. Over the next months, the comments grew sharper. Chioma, my sweet girl who had always been close to me, began to echo her future in-laws. "Grandma, you should think about moving to a smaller flat. This house is too much work for you, the stairs alone." Tunde's sisters whispered that my clothes were outdated, that my old Peugeot 504 was an embarrassment when they came to visit. They suggested, gently at first, that I move into one of those new senior living estates in Lekki where everything was taken care of. "You'd have nurses, activities, friends your own age," Fumi said, patting my hand like I was a child. What they did not know was that for 15 years, I had been quietly paying Chioma's university fees in London, Tunde's car note or his Range Rover, even the rent on the luxury apartment they shared in Ikoyi. I did it through a trust managed by my lawyer, Mr. Eze, so they never knew the money came from me. I wanted Chioma to have the opportunities I never had. I wanted her to be happy. But happiness, I learned, is not the same as gratitude. The wedding was planned to be the event of the season. 350 guests at Echo Hotel, designer lace asoke flown in from Dubai, a live band from South Africa. I contributed quietly, as always. But 3 weeks before the wedding, Fumi called a family meeting at my house. Tunde's father, Chief Adebayo, sat in my parlor like he already owned it. "Mama Adana," he began, "we've been thinking. After the wedding, Chioma and Tunde will need a proper family home. This house is perfect, central, large compound, good schools nearby for when the children come. You are getting older. It's not safe for you to manage all this alone. We found a lovely 1-bedroom serviced apartment in a senior community. Very modern, very safe." I looked at Chioma. She would not meet my eyes. "And the cost of this senior home?" I asked quietly. Chief Adebayo smiled. "We've done the numbers. If you sell this house, you'll have more than enough to live comfortably for the rest of your life and still have plenty left to bless the young couple as they start their family." I felt something cold settle in my chest. This house belonged to my husband's father. It has been in our family for 3 generations. I will not sell it. Fumi gasped. "Mama, you're being selfish. Chioma is your only grandchild. Don't you want her to have a good life?" The wedding day arrived like a storm wrapped in lace and gold. I wore a simple blue wrapper I had sewn myself. Fumi pulled me aside before the reception. "Mama, please, change into something better. You look like a market woman. People are taking pictures." I smiled and said nothing. During the toast, after the couple had cut their 10-tier cake, Fumi took the microphone. She thanked everyone, then turned to me with tears in her eyes. False tears, I now know. "And a special word about Mama Adana," she said, voice carrying across the ballroom. "We love her so much, but she's getting older. She struggles with that big old house. We've begged her to let us help, to move somewhere easier, safer, but she refuses. Today, on this joyous day, I ask her again, for Chioma's sake, please, Mama, let us take care of you. Sign the papers. Let the children have the house." The room went quiet. All 350 guests turned to look at me. I stood slowly. "No." Fumi's face changed. The mask fell. "You stubborn old woman," she hissed, stepping close. "Do you want to die alone in that crumbling house? You're embarrassing us." And then she slapped me, hard, across the face. My head snapped to the side. My glasses fell to the marble floor and cracked. The sound of the slap echoed in the silence. No one moved. Chioma stared at her plate. Tunde looked away. I tasted blood where my lip had split, but the pain in my cheek was nothing compared to the pain in my heart. I bent down slowly, picked up my broken glasses, and walked toward the exit. Behind me, I heard Fumi laughing nervously. "She's just confused. Old age, you know." Outside, under the stars, I called Mr. Eze. "Come to Echo Hotel now," I said, my voice steady for the first time in years. "Bring the documents. It is time." 30 minutes later, Mr. Eze arrived in his quiet Mercedes. He carried a leather folder thick with papers. We walked back into the ballroom together. The music had started again. Fumi was posing for photos, radiant in her gold gele. She saw us and froze. "Mama Adana," Chioma whispered, confused. "What's going on?" I took the microphone from the DJ. "Good evening, everyone," I began. My voice did not shake. "My name is Adana Okonkwo. Some of you know me as the old woman who sells bread. Some of you know me as Chioma's grandmother. But very few of you know the truth." I nodded to Mr. Eze. He opened the folder. "For 15 years, since my husband passed, I have lived quietly. But my husband was not just a school teacher, as many believed. He built something, a company, a tech company that started in a small office in Yaba in the 1980s. He wrote software for banks, for telecoms, for government. When he died, I became the majority shareholder. Today, that company is worth over 4 billion naira. A murmur rippled through the crowd. I chose to live simply. My husband and I believed visible wealth attracts vultures. We were right. I looked at Fumi. Her face had gone grey. For the past 5 years, I went on, I have quietly paid Chioma's school fees, over 80 million naira. I have paid Tunde's car loan. I have paid their rent in Ikoyi, 3 million naira every month. I paid for half of this wedding, all anonymously, because I loved my granddaughter. Chioma began to cry. Tonight, I was asked to give up my family home. I was slapped in front of all of you for refusing. So now I will tell you what I am giving up. Mr. Eze stepped forward. Effective immediately, he announced, all financial support to Mr. Tunde Adebayo and Miss Chioma Okonkwo has been terminated. The lease guarantee on their Ikoyi apartment is cancelled. The outstanding balance on the Range Rover will be due within 30 days. And the payment guarantee for this venue, 420 million naira, has been withdrawn. The ballroom manager standing near the door went pale. Fumi screamed, "This is a lie. She's a poor old baker. Look at her wrapper. Look at her shoes." I smiled and said nothing. Appearances can deceive, my dear. Phones were out now, people recording. The videos would be everywhere by morning. Chioma ran to me. "Grandma, please, I didn't know. I didn't know about the money. I didn't want them to hurt you." I touched her cheek gently. "I know, Noame, but you stood silent while they did." I turned to the crowd. "My will has been changed. My shares, my properties, my savings, everything will go to a new foundation I am creating, the Adana Okonkwo Foundation for the Protection of Elderly Women. We will help grandmothers who are pressured, threatened, or abused by their own families." I looked at Fumi one last time. You wanted my house. You will never set foot in it again. Then I walked out, with Mr. Eze beside me, my head high. 6 months later, the videos had over 10 million views across Africa. My story was on every blog, every radio show, every church WhatsApp group. Women wrote to me, hundreds of them, telling me how their children wanted their land, their pensions, their homes. I sold some shares and started the foundation. We opened our first center in Lagos, then Abuja, then Enugu. We have lawyers who fight for elderly women in court. We have safe houses. We teach financial literacy. We teach daughters and sons that respect is not for sale. Chioma came to see me once, 3 months after the wedding. She was living with her mother now. The wedding cancelled. Tunde gone back to his family in disgrace. She cried in my parlor for hours. I was blind, Grandma. I wanted to fit into their world. I forgot where I came from. I forgave her. Slowly. She now works at the foundation, helping other young women see the warning signs I missed in her. Fumi tried to sue me for defamation. The case was thrown out. The judge called it frivolous and malicious. I still bake, but only for the women in our centers. I still wear my simple wrappers. But now, when I walk through Surulere Market, people greet me with respect. Mama Adana, the lioness. My house is no longer quiet. It is filled with laughter, women sharing stories, planning futures, healing. Sometimes, late at night, I sit on my veranda and think of Chike. I think he would be proud. I was quiet for too long, but silence, I learnt, is not the same as weakness. And no one will ever slap this grandmother again.